Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back, everyone.
It is Heel Hot Girl, episode 13. I'm LB.
I'm SP.
I'm Jess, your wellness bestie.
You probably know us by now, more than likely.
I think
But just in
probably.
case you haven't met us and this is your first episode, I guess it's always important to run through our names.
For sure.
How is everybody? We just came off a little break.
Whew.
Yo, I feel like every time we come in here for a shoot, it's like, I feel like it's always you, Sam, with the stories.
Oh my God. Yeah, me too. This is what I'm saying. Like, I asked to not be on God's strongest soldier list this year, and he's like, you're up.
You're built.
First of all, Sam couldn't, well, not that she couldn't drive, but she didn't want to drive because every road trip that she's taken, the last 4 road trips, she's now
I've
replaced
busted
4
tires in the last 6 months.
Mind you,
Crazy.
she drives a Benz, like, so it's not like she's driving like a hoopty back and forth to Nashville.
Brand new.
And it's brand new.
2022.
Yeah, literally,
Yeah.
it's brand new.
Yeah, so no reason for it. And then,
There's a reason, and it makes me really angry.
what is the reason?
We won't get into it.
Oh, she's not ready.
It's complicated.
Okay.
Apparently, they don't make run flats or spares for my car.
Oh,
my
right,
model
you did tell
vehicle.
me that, which is insane.
Question mark, but if anybody else knows of any type.
No spares for a car. You know, that's some real bougie shit. That's what it is. I feel
Actually,
like.
I had a friend who purchased a Mercedes and they weren't trying to give him a spare.
So
I don't
they
have a
told her
spare.
the same thing.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, we had to fight.
No spare.
My
no
boy
run
got
flat.
he got the spare, but that's crazy. The no. But honestly, I feel my best advice is, the thing is that Mercedes covers it. That's the problem, because I'm like, for all that, just change the brand of tires.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like,
And I got the tire
but what's the
warranty,
point of the
so,
coverage?
Yeah.
Can you bring your own tires?
I guess, but I don't know if it messes with the warranty. You know what I mean? The tire warranty.
You're right.
Oh, if you bring
You're
your
right.
own.
So, yeah.
Damn.
If
All
anyone
right.
knows anything about these things, not to take up too much of your time about this, but like
Mercedes
these are
tires,
just questions
please.
that need answers
The
because
CLA 250, please.
honestly, Samantha needs an answer at this point because
We need lots of answers. And
we're just not understanding.
$300 check that I'm still waiting on for Mercedes right now.
Crazy.
Oh,
And American Airlines.
And American Airlines.
Who canceled my flight last night, and I rebooked on Southwest. Thank God there was a flight
Yeah.
still leaving out.
I was thinking that. I was
Wasn't
like, thankfully they
crazy.
didn't like make you wait around and then cancel it because then you might not
Yeah.
have been able to get out.
Yeah.
At least you had enough time to book another flight.
Yeah, so made it in, but yeah, I feel like God is testing my heart posture right now throughout all this, because a lot of things just keep happening, right? And I'm
Right.
like, even I moved into a new place in Nashville, and like even like there were so many issues with the house when I moved in that like the maintenance guy was like, "Man, you got a dark cloud over you." I'm like, "Fuck off."
No, he
Like,
didn't.
sir, I don't
Swear to
need to
God.
hear that
No, he
from
didn't.
you.
Swear to God. He said, "Damn, there's a dark cloud over you or something," because my fridge wasn't working. Like, girl, there was a comedy of errors. And so I feel like God is testing my heart posture right now,
Yeah.
right? Like you're about to get everything you want. Like, it better, it's hope is coming.
No, it will.
But you're about to get everything you want. So it's like, but how is your heart posture when things go bad? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's challenging. It's
Yeah.
challenging. So it's
Yeah.
challenging my ability to stay positive and like push through.
But it comes through every time.
Yeah.
There's some
Yeah.
things in the way.
When you shared that in the chat, I was like, I was like, that's why I said, yo, it got to be something.
Well, I mean,
be
everyone's
something.
I just keep hearing about people's travel stories like that
Yeah.
are just like horrendous right now. So like, shout out to all the airline people because I know it's a struggle right now.
Yeah.
Shout out to some of the airline people. Some of them don't like their jobs, and honestly, y'all need to quit. Like, that's a life lesson. If you
That's
hate your
customer
job
service, though.
that much that you got to make other people miserable, like, dog, quit your job. That's a sign.
Yeah.
Quit your job.
Especially when you work with other people.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean, we definitely wanted to do like a check-in. We've been going through this journey with you guys for 12 episodes, which is like epic.
13?
No, this is 13.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
No,
I
it
can't
is
do
13.
math.
It is 13.
Been 3 months, 4 months.
Yeah, March was when we kicked off, and we're now in July, which is crazy.
Yeah.
The time has like flown by, but we've been doing so much talking about our healing journey. Where are we? How's it going for everybody? We just want to do a little check-in.
Well, I told you how it's going for me, which is
Do you find
So-so.
yourself? Well, do you find yourself like responding to have you noticed like responding to situations differently now? You know, when you feel like you're being tested or like your self-talk or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How have you been like maneuvering through these like, because you've had several unexpected challenges in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. I think there is more of a pause now before I react. And I think that's about it.
Okay.
That's
Well,
a
one,
pause.
that's
No,
a step.
that's
reaction.
some- that's
but in
big.
that pause, you get to choose, like, am I going to freak out? And the answer is always, I want to. Like,
Right.
that's always, the freak out is always right under the surface. But, like, there's a little pause beforehand. It's like, and I have my niece with me the last few weeks, too. So it's like, it's not just me. Now I'm setting an example for her for, like, how do we respond in these situations? And, like, also, if I'm upset, she's going to be upset, right? So
Right.
it's like, minding my response and having her around definitely played a role in that. But there's this little pause before my reactions to everything, like a little bit of a breath of like, all right, here we go again.
Or like, how should I, like, it's like a, okay.
Yeah, like how do we, like
What's the
so
best
what's-
way
yeah,
to like respond to this?
best next response and solution to this problem. So yeah, taking a breath, I guess that's been my solution, or like where I've been with it. But yeah, it's been a wild few weeks for me.
Well, yeah.
Oh, no,
There's been a lot.
Your niece, your niece being around, it was probably a blessing in disguise to some
Always,
degree.
yeah.
Because I feel like I was seeing you post like a lot of like, just like childlike things and just like
Yeah.
having a ball. But to your point of the fact that it clicked for you, like my response right now can play an influence in her type of response in the future. And so the fact that clicked, that forced you to like, even if that was going to be the camel that broke, the straw
Right.
that broke the camel's back, it could have been, if she wasn't there, it would have been 0 to 100.
Right.
And you were forced to kind of you did.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so shout out to that.
Mind
'cause-
my tone, mind my attitude, mind
Yeah.
ooh, girl,
Yeah.
mind
Well, yeah, because kids
And
really
not
are
even
like
worrying.
sponges.
y'all. Yeah, yeah. What
That's
about
good.
y'all? How's it been going for y'all?
How's it going for you, girl?
I haven't had as many of the same challenges as Samantha. I haven't moved or like there's been nothing in like that type of situation, but I've been dating. Well, I mean, I'm always dating, but I don't know. I feel like lately I've been like so much more like to the point.
More direct.
More direct in like my communication. I'm just really proud of myself for like really, there's been situations that have tempted me to like respond the way I typically would, mostly because, especially like I spoke a lot about in the beginning of the Pod, which check out earlier episodes just to kind of get a little bit of a better feel for like who we are. But a lot of my dating has been with intent. That was really what I set forth in terms of like my dating journey at this point is like intentionality. What am I really looking for? Not wasting time, things like that. And like, listen, my cutoff strength. Okay, let me just get my words together. My cutoff game was strong before, but let me tell you something.
You took it up another level?
Oh, a whole nother level I didn't even know I had. And also not even, because I have also spoke about that I am a ghoster. Like I am 1000% a ghoster. And to some degree I like still am, because there's a few unsaved
MIA.
messages in here. Yeah. And I'm like, ooh, no. But I definitely have done a much better job in like I was talking to one guy that I met off Hinge. Like I swore I wasn't gonna do Hinge anymore, but like whatever, here we are. So we were talking for like 3 weeks or something via text, which like, okay, fine. And it also, when we first met, we were busy. Like I was coming to Buffalo to shoot. He was like traveling to see family. So like at first it was like, okay. But after like 21 days of text messages, I was like, okay, like.
Hello?
Right. Like, like that's, I'm speechless. Like,
We
I'm
had
like,
to-
what are
you
we
had to
supposed
throw
to?
out the idea.
I had to, I was the one that had to like come up like, hey, we should go out and see if, because now we're doing all this talking. And what if we don't vibe in person? You know what I mean? Just because you can talk words to somebody doesn't mean that like your vibe is going to be together. So
Did
yeah.
you guys FaceTime at all?
No.
Okay,
Which
so-
I'm not necessarily, like, I'm okay with that in some degree because I'm like, okay, well,
You haven't seen him and you haven't FaceTimed in 3 weeks?
I thought he was catfish.
I was going to say
the
that.
only reason why I knew he wasn't was because,
He's in the CIA or he's got a wife.
okay, also,
Oh,
I have a
shit.
story for that for another day. Someone telling me that they work for the CIA. But anyways,
Oh my God.
and then popped up with a baby. But anyways, we'll get to that another day. Yeah. Yeah. CIA
She
my
needs to
fucking
write-
ass.
She needs
Okay.
to write a book.
I really do. Like my life honestly isn't real. But I knew he had added me on like Instagram So I knew he was like a real, but I was starting to think he wasn't a real person. I was like,
Yeah.
is this a whole thing like a facade? Because I just don't understand why you don't want to hang out with me. Like, it's just the
You
weirdest
don't want to
thing.
FaceTime. You don't want to hang out. You don't want to see my face.
But you will good morning me to death.
Ew.
So I was like, finally, I was like, yeah, we should like hang out. He was like, yeah, whatever. So we made brunch plans. We go to brunch. It wasn't. It wasn't like
The
the best
laugh
day of
before
my
the
life,
story.
but like it was cool. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it wasn't like the best date I've ever been on, but it was like it was good. It was cool. Like we vibed enough. We went to brunch and then we went for drinks after. And then it was like just kind of like one of those weird things, like went to brunch and then went out for drinks. And like I'm just like one of those people that somehow ends up on these dates for like 3 days. Like then where it's like I've noticed that about when I first moved to DC, it would be like I met someone and then we would spend like the next 3 days together. It was very weird. So
We were like, these boys don't.
they don't want to go
wanna
home.
You got to give stronger hints.
Yeah.
Like, go.
Well, and I
It's
didn't
time
even.
for
Well,
you to go.
but that's the thing is like I didn't necessarily mind it. So I was
Ooh,
like,
girl.
okay. So, anyways, whatever. So then another like week goes by, and he doesn't like try to make plans with me again, which I'm just like, why do I have to keep asking you to hang out? You know what I mean? Like I just feel like I was the one that kind of initiated. Yeah, I mean, I didn't pay for
And I
the
feel like-
date, but.
No, I was gonna say, and I feel like once you initiate like once you drop the hint, it's like pick it up.
It's not like we
Dude,
met
I have to
out
make
and
the
had a night
reservation
out
too.
together already.
Yeah.
Like we have not interacted in real life yet. Like we don't know. And like, you know, I'm kind of like I'm a wild card a little bit. Like not everyone really knows how to like
Maneuver.
I don't not everyone is able to like mesh with me. So anyways, yeah. So after another week went by, I was like, I just sent him a text. I was like, I think our dating goals are different. Or I think our like vision of dating is different. And he was like, what does that mean? And I told him and he was just like, wow. I was like, well, I like to see the people I'm dating. I don't know how you like to date, but we live 10 minutes away from each other. So there's
Yeah.
really no reason why I'm like breathing down your neck
to meet up.
in a month.
And that's a problem already off rip, right? That's a red flag for me of like, because I want a man. Like, again, I like to be courted. So like, if you're not taking the initiative, well then baby,
And that's
well,
my thing is
we're
like,
not going nowhere. So like, yeah,
maybe
true.
he's and that's why I say we're just not in the same dating frame of mind. This
Yeah.
isn't we're not doing the same type of
Right.
dating, clearly.
Yeah.
Like I'm dating at this point in my life, like if I'm talking to you every single day, if you're going to
Yeah.
text me every single day, then there
was
to
he
me
in
there's
jail?
Okay.
Was he out on
No.
break for brunch?
I
'Cause
mean,
I'm
who
just, like, was he on some sort of house?
did he get a weekend pass? I'm fucking dead.
I'm just trying to figure out
No, that's what I'm saying.
why you wouldn't want to hang out with Alyssa, with LB. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Also, you're getting a lot out of me. She gave him a lot of time.
That 3 weeks
Yeah.
of texting?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He had to have been in
Crazy.
jail.
And like, you know, things happen. Like you could be super busy, whatnot, but like
Nah, he
at the
was
end of
in
the
jail.
day,
It's
like,
just not
make
it's not a
plan.
priority
Yeah.
to you. You're in the you're like, and I don't need to like. That's okay. We just don't need to continue communicating. Like
Correct.
there's no
Yeah.
like I don't think you're a bad guy. I don't think you're terrible. Nothing like that. But like the way that you're currently maneuvering dating is not the way that I'm maneuvering
I love
dating.
that.
So, question for you then. Do you state your intentions when you meet someone? Is that something you guys discuss, like in your conversations before you meet up?
I think you're just
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I feel like it's an observant period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have kind of like you spoke about in the early episode. You want to see people in their most like natural state. You know,
Yeah.
how are you with like regular people? You
Yeah.
know, or not regular, but just outside. How do you treat people?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way that I've been trying to approach it more so dating lately is like taking the first like month or so of just seeing how you move.
Yeah.
Like, how do you interact with me? How do you interact with other people? Like, what's your intentions? Because like I've said before, and I've said this so many times, I'm not in the business of telling people what to do or how to act. Like, I'm not going to try to tell you, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Like, especially in the very beginning. Once we
Yeah.
get into a relationship and we're maneuvering our relationship, then, like, that's one thing. But, like, at the start, like, that's what I'm saying. I'm not here to convince you that you should hang out with me. I'm not
Yeah.
here to convince you to be on the same journey as me. You've
Yeah.
shown me where you're at.
Right.
For me personally, that's just
It's-
not where I'm at.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I've been meeting a lot of these men lately that just, there's really no intentionality and there's really no, nothing. You know what I mean? Like there's just really no like, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, but like, I'm just not gonna like hit you back. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like where I'm at, is just like, if you text me here and there, don't really say anything, don't really like invite me anywhere. I felt like I should explain myself because we were talking so often and we did meet. But some of these people that I just meet, like, if I don't really like it, your tone or the way that it's going, I just don't even respond.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm not going to explain myself to 5 people every week, you know?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of where I'm at more so, is just like observing, seeing what type of person you are. Because we can't go anywhere if, like, if I don't like what I see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm just, like I said, I'm just not in the place of like telling people what to do or how to act. So I think that I've been trying to do a lot more with that communication piece and with the just going after like what it is that I really want, because the old me probably would have just kind of kept talking to him. You know what I mean? Like, because it wasn't a bad conversation, but every day I'm like, what the fuck do you want? Like, you're on my phone every single day saying nothing. Oh, are you excited it's the weekend? I'm like, is this my mother? What? Like, that's the type of conversation we're having. And I'm just like, you make me want to break my phone. You make me want to not even have my phone.
So that's you excited for the weekend. That's small talk
crazy.
I make with my clients on the phone.
Crazy.
Hello. I'm like,
Got
I'm sorry,
any
are we on a
plans
Zoom
this
call?
Friday? Yeah,
Like,
literally.
What the fuck
That
is
is Zoom
going on?
conversation.
Yes.
Pre-meeting Zoom conversation.
Yes.
Like, that's crazy.
So anyways, that's where I'm at. Is just like, especially with dating right now, it's just really being more like nipping things in the bud. Like, rather than drawing things out when I already know, like, I could see at that point what it was going to be.
Yeah.
And like before, I probably would have just like, oh, I'm not talking to anyone else, or, you know, I like him a little bit, so let me like see what he does. No, he's like, damn, I hate to see you go. I was like,
I hate to see. I would like a checkup on him in 6 months, because I'm telling y'all, the man's
He actually just hearted my story.
CIA, like one of these
he would.
theories that I'm throwing out
course
there
he
is
would.
gonna come out in like the next 6 months. One of these theories is true.
Crazy.
Jesse, how have you been? What's been going on with you, girl?
My healing journey check-in. Let me see. Go on the thinking bank.
A lot has happened. My girl hold on, Jessie prayed for the first time.
she
for the
did?
She led us in prayer, y'all. It was
so
beautiful.
good. Beautiful.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have, work is working. I feel like I've been a little bit busy.
Big
But
director business.
AD, soon, yeah. Work's been a little bit busy. I think even just navigating my own feels, because like I'm getting anxious about going back to DC in a good way. Like, I'm ready, you know. And so I'm just like trying to like find the sweet spot. What's that sweet spot? I want control of something, but God still has me controlless right now, so all good. One of the things I've been doing, I'm attending prayer groups on Wednesdays.
That's so sweet.
How is it? What do you guys do?
Well, I've gone to one.
Okay.
I'm going.
The plan is
Hold on,
for
we're
regular
manifesting.
On
attendance.
Wednesdays, yeah. Well, I had
You're
some
doing it, but
schedule conflict, but the first time I went was like an experience. We were kind of sitting, like kind of how you are. It was
How many
in an
people are
auditorium. There was only 5 people there.
Okay.
And so like I did not do no public prayer, girl. Everyone took time to pray out loud what it is that they were praying for. And so to be in a space of like such vulnerability and to like hear while your eyes are closed, like what people are going through, and then what you go pray for, it's like, oh my God. Some folks are praying for things that I'm like, whew, this is why religion could be controversial.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, I do remember.
You know what I mean?
That. Yeah,
But I won't go into that. So yeah, just kind of like finding a space. You got to find the right time to look, because it's all search. But yeah, I think just work really. I feel like work and just going through the motions right now is the theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we
Surrender.
Yeah.
I'm in flow.
Yeah.
I like
flow and
that.
surrender.
Swimming with the ocean. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I just got back from celebrating my sister's bachelorette.
Yes.
Okay, that was the biggest thing.
She was damn near moved to San Juan.
I feel
She
like,
was-
Sam,
Yeah, I
you
felt
meant
like y'all
one
were there
thing that you
forever.
said was like the God is testing your heart posture. I really felt like on that trip, and the fact that Weeze week was approaching, because we left on the 30th, it was like, wait, where was I going with this?
Your sister's bachelorette party, testing your heart posture.
Oh, yes.
On a trip.
Because everything that you could think could go wrong the day we landed, like literally was going wrong. Really was the housing, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
But point is, it's like people were like, Jessica, you're so calm. And I'm like, well, one, I want her to enjoy herself and not have to worry about it and like all good. But then two, it was like, you know what? I do know like we won't be homeless. We'll have a place to stay.
Yeah.
Like it's just gonna work out. I just really felt like it was gonna work out. Like sometimes LB has shared like, I feel really calm. And I'm like, what do you mean you feel calm? Like, how do you feel so calm? And she's like, I just know that like it's gonna be okay. And I'm like, and it'll be okay. And she was like, you know, we'll reflect back. And she'll be like, you know, in that moment I didn't X, Y, Z. And I'm like, okay, I'll be like, I don't know. I'm like, no. But nonetheless, bachelorette, my sister is queer. So I thought it was I was just like super excited to just celebrate. This is like the first time in our family that anyone I think is really going through, is the first woman in our family who's getting married, who's a lesbian. Sorry, I don't know how she identifies. So it's just probably terrible.
Okay. No, we see what you're saying.
But yeah, you get that. You
first in your family.
You get it.
Like,
Yeah.
So first one, so it's like super big, yeah. And I'm super excited for her. I mean, it was something that was so controversial.
Yeah, y'all.
Growing
I feel
up,
like, especially like in like in minority families, especially, right? Like in a Hispanic family, like you've got, it's just like not the, anything that's not the norm, gets questioned. And so I'm sure your sister could tell her own healing journey stories,
For sure,
so
definitely.
it's a special moment for her.
Yeah, so that was fun. But in the midst of it, my point in also sharing, like in the part of like something so like exciting and like celebratory, I was also like getting anxious leading up to Weeze's week. So I think resurfacing grief and just healing check-in, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, here we go. This is where you get another test kind of thing. So those are the themes.
Yeah.
That was
Weeze
my
week.
theme.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first? It's been 2 years.
Yeah. So we haven't talked. I think you guys have heard us speak a lot about Weeze. His brother was on the show. A couple, maybe
OJ.
OJ, when OJ and Lindsay were on the show. And I've known Weeze since, I don't know. The thing about Buffalo, like we talked about, is like, I'm not really sure when I knew everybody. Like I couldn't tell you like the exact year or like the exact time that we met. A lot of it is just like lives intertwining over time. But I would say that probably when I moved back from New York was really when I started spending a lot of time with Weeze. OJ was my age, so we kind of knew each other. But Weeze was his younger brother. I mean, 1 year. It's not like it was like a lot of time. But I think when I moved back from New York was really when I started hanging out with Ocho a lot more, and OJ and Weeze, and just over like, from maybe 2000, about 10 years, honestly, maybe from like 2012 up until 2021, we had just formed a very extremely close friendship. And so he passed suddenly July 5th in 2021. And so and that was the first time that I really had experienced a loss of a friend. I had a lot of like, I think what you would call like typical
Transition.
Yeah, like grandparents, aunts and uncles.
Sick,
older, sick.
Lived long lives.
And even still, we're not, even though they were family, they just weren't necessarily a part of my day-to-day life the way that Weeze was. So when that happened, I'm finding out more and more about grief as I go through the journey of grief. I think one thing that I really wanted to say that resurfaced a lot when Miss Jackie O, DC Young Fly's wife, passed away suddenly, is I was like, I don't think that I realized how much my life was going to change after that loss. Like I kept looking for so long to get back to my, like, it was just like, I thought eventually like my life would go back to normal, but it never will. And I think that that's one thing that I really didn't understand about grief. And a lot of it, even growing up, was like, I'm really good at like compartmentalizing and putting it on the shelf. And I think that's what I did. I don't even think I necessarily even grieved other people's death that well, to be honest. It was just one of those things that like, they're just not here anymore. Mm-hmm. And I just would continue on with life. And I don't think that I really dealt with it. But Weeze's loss impacted my life in a way that I still am figuring out what it is. And I think that's one thing, anyone that's going through something is like, just be patient with yourself, because for a long time I was just like, I just want to feel normal. But like, you never, like, I hate to tell you, but you never really feel normal again. Like, you never really go back to the person that you were before that happened. And it's more so for me is like embracing and finding out like the new me, which is frustrating because you don't have control over it. And I think one thing the three of us talk about a lot is having control over things. And this was one thing that I couldn't change and I couldn't do anything about. And I saw so many people around me that were so we were just, like, I really can't even put words to it, to be honest.
Broken.
Yeah. I mean, and we still are. And I think, but we're finding our way, I think. I think this year we did a lot of healing. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you would agree, but this year, when 1 year came up, I was like, I was unwell. Like, I couldn't get through the workday. I was like in not a good place. But this year, it felt like, it just feels like it's something that we live with now, right? Like, it felt like, I'm like, damn, yeah, this is the day. But it was like, we've been living like with this feeling since that day. Mm-hmm.
Not something that just comes up on
right.
that certain memories or certain
exactly.
day. Yeah,
exactly.
It's like you live with it every day now. So it's like, it's not to say it's not hitting you as hard.
No.
But it's like not as much of a shock or something.
It's just something that I'm like, damn, it's 2 years today, but it's just like, damn, but I've been living this shit for the last, I don't know what 365 or 365
I know, that's a lot of days.
Mad days.
It's a lot of days.
And I bring a little comedic relief to situations like this.
830, I think.
Yeah, but it's just something like
do not look at me with any kind of math. Wow.
But there's just so many days. It's just like, this is my life now. And like the pain that you feel through these kinds of things, like, unfortunately, they just really don't go away. There's not like you wake up one day and like you're good. Yeah. That's just not the way it works.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one thing that I've had to really embrace about this whole thing is like, I kept looking for like my old life or like my old things. And it was just like, that's gone. Yeah. And like grieving that too. And like the fact that things will never be the same. And the fact that we've, it looked like, and that's why it reminded me so much with Jackie O was like, she was the glue and Weeze was really the glue. And I remember the day that he passed away, that was like one of the first things I said was like, he is the glue to everything. Like, I don't know how we're going to like, I don't know how we're going to like do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing with grief is like, you just have to be patient with yourself and you have to like, just take it a day at a time. Because, like, unfortunately, with losses like that, you just really don't go back to normal.
Yeah.
There's really not, like, I don't know.
Isos, can you grab a box of tissues? Maybe in the bathroom. We probably should have had the box of tissues ready, girl.
I thought about, Alyssa said, do you want waterproof mascara? And I'm like, wait.
Hopefully this is the only one that's gonna, I mean, I knew it was gonna, take me there, but like, it's just even coming home. Like yesterday I was driving and I was just like, but grief, like you read is like, it's just love that you want to give that you just can't. And that's truly what it is. Like there's so much you want to say to someone and there's so like much that you wish for, but you just can't.
Crush your legs.
What?
Crush your legs.
Oh, thank you. But I saw so many signs that day and I still do. And like, I just think this year we did a lot of healing. I do. I feel
Yeah.
like we had conversations that were hard. I feel like we bonded together. And I feel like that's what made this year not feel so heavy. Was like, it was like, all right, like we did some work this year. And like we're going to do more work this year. So like year 3 will be even hopefully less painful. And I really just want to get to a place with it where it's not sad. Like I think it will always be sad, but I want to get to a place with it where it's like I would love to have like a Weeze day, like to make it a happy day. Like let's have a block party, like get everyone together. Like I think it's still so fresh right now that it's like we're still just trying to like literally like make it every day. But I would love to eventually like do something like that here.
Yeah, just bring it over.
Thank you. To where it's like something, because he was just such a like.
It's okay, girl.
He was just such a like, I don't know. He was like a home. He was like a home person. Like you felt at home when you were with him, and you felt safe and you felt comfortable. And it was like I always knew that if he was there, everything would be fine. And like I'm talking about like I know that there's a couple events like the Bills home opener that's coming up. And I've had some issues with some people that I know are going to be at the tailgate this year. And I'm like, if I come home, I'm like, damn it, Weeze isn't going to be there because he's the one person that could be like, Alyssa, right here. Like, you need to relax, calm down. We're not doing that today. Like, he was like one of the only people that could like really like get me to like.
You always say that. You're like, if Weeze would be like, Alyssa, take it easy.
Sit down.
Alyssa, you're doing too much.
Too much, yes.
You're doing too much. Really, come here. So yeah, I want to get to a place of that, but I just think navigating grief is like I've just never dealt with anything like this before, and so it's just been a really
journey. Still a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I remember this is how I met Weeze. We were at a tailgate, Bills game.
Bills tailgates, by the way, for those of you that don't know.
Bills tailgates are legendary.
Well, you probably have heard of them. Like, we've been on ESPN, we've been on Sports Illustrated.
Haven't personally.
Well, us not. But Bills tailgates are like
legendary.
The first thing that when I tell people I'm from Buffalo, they're like, "Do you tailgate?" And I'm like,
"Do you smash tables?" I'm like, "No, only the idiots do that." I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, we don't all do that.
Only people who get too drunk and don't feel things do that.
But I have pictures of me on the top of like a school bus, which is shocking. But yeah. That's the most I think of them.
But so
such a good pick.
I feel like it just perfectly describes Weeze too, because I met Weeze that day at this tailgate. We're on the way to the tailgate, and I mean, I think this is the thing about our friend group, and also to some degree Buffalo too. It's like, oh, you're so and so, well then you're my so and so. Like you're so and so's brother, you're my brother. You're so and so's friend, you're my friend. And I was like, Weeze had this whole Wegman sub, the 12-inch joint cut into 4s, and I was like, man, that looks good. And he was like, you want some? I was like, to offer somebody food
on the first day, you don't even know them.
That's love.
But that's Weeze.
That's love. That
Absolutely.
was Weeze, and it was just like. And I always remember Weeze's hugs, too. Like, Weeze gave the best hugs, man.
Yes,
he was always so happy to see. Like Weeze was a light. Like, he really felt like a light. And so I think for me, his loss hit me a little bit differently. Weeze wasn't part of my everyday life. I'd been living in Nashville for 2 years before that. But I think what Weeze was constant for me. You know, he was like a constant presence, safe space.
Whenever you
like
saw
you said, it was just. I remember like I didn't get a chance to see him before he passed, and I think it's one of the regrets that I have because I didn't come home a lot and I didn't see my friends a lot. And so I think that's a regret that I have that I think I've leaned into a little bit more is taking advantage of seeing my friends when I have the option to and appreciating their presence when, you know, because we aren't promised forever and we don't get an opportunity to get those moments back. Despite that, it's like I don't feel like I didn't feel any less close to Weeze though because of it. You know what I mean? Like that's the spirit he was. Is that
Bammer?
It was Bammer.
Every time we saw you, Bammer, Bomber, and Bammer.
Oh my God, he was just a constant presence, a constant light, and you know I always have regrets that I didn't come around more when I had the chance to. But I also know that like I feel his presence so much around me and around my friends. And I think that was the other really hard part, is being so far away and seeing how much pain everybody was in to some of the people I love the most, you know, like to see y'all go through that. And to know you can't do anything to change it, man, that's tough, you know. You can't make it better. You can't do anything but try to be there for people. And so, yeah, it's been tough. And I think, too, there was a thread for me of, like, every person I've ever lost in my life has gone suddenly. Like, from my grandmother when I was, like, really young, who I was close to Weeze. Like, everyone that I've known has passed suddenly. And I think I've always had a weird fear of death, like, growing up. And so, like, it's never sat right with me that we sit and, you know, that when we're gone, we're gone.
Yeah.
And I think that's something my faith has given me a little bit too, is the ability, like, to see that we're more than just the flesh and blood that we carry. We are spirits, we are souls. Like, you know, we do, there is more after. And I think for me this year, reframing Weeze's passing as, like, going home day, Weeze's going home day, was really a shift I'm kind of, like, forcing on myself, because in our faith, we should all strive and want that for ourselves. So for Weeze, you know, in theory, that's one of the best days of his life, right? Like, he's going home, he's sitting next to God, he's sitting next to the big man, like.
There is.
So that gives me a little bit more peace and comfort to being able to lean into my faith. But yeah, I mean, I see the way grief carries itself, you know, and I've seen the shift in how it shows up for y'all. And even still, it's so hard to know, like, how to be there, you know, for people in these moments.
Yeah.
But so I think, like, genuinely praying for people, and you don't always have to tell them you're praying for them either, but you know what I mean? Making sure that when you say your prayers, you're extending that hand, you're asking God to extend his hand and his heart to those people, has brought me comfort.
And I feel like one thing was you held a lot of space for me at that time, like, because there's nothing you can say that's gonna, like, change, like, what we're dealing with. And I think the one thing that you and, like, some of my, you know, close friends was just, like, you were just there. Because we had the pleasure, like, Jess and I were able to spend the weekend with Weeze, you know, before that they've made 4th of July now, like, first class or something day, I think. I don't know. Biz posted about it because the day before he passed away, like, and I find a lot of comfort in, like, you couldn't have written it any differently than how it happened that weekend. Like, we spent so much time together as a group that we haven't done in, like, we just came home on a whim and, like, spent the whole weekend together, the whole crew. Like, the night before, we were at Gabby and Donnie's swimming. Like, those of you that don't know, Weeze used to sing and rap. And I didn't even really know this about him because this was kind of, like, early Ocho days, but they were, like, playing, like, you know, like, songs that it was just, like, you couldn't have written it better. And that's why, like, as painful as it is and as difficult as it is, it was, like, it's something in my gut. I just know it was what it was. And they're, like, so it's, like, I'm just so grateful that we have those memories from, like, because I had moved away 6 months before that, but I also was lucky enough because I moved home for, like, 4 or 5 months before I moved to DC. And I used to go to OJ's house a lot. Like, we spent Christmas Eve together, like, so, like, we had, like, some good, like, we had some good time. Maybe not New Year's, maybe even New Year's. We did a going away party for me at OJ's before I moved. So I just, like, I try to remember, like, that stuff. And it's a lot of it. Some days are better than others. Like, some days I just, like, I'm not good. But I feel like the community that we've kind of have within ourselves and the freedom that we have to share how we're feeling about it and just being there for each other, I think has been, like, really a vital part of, like, getting us through the last 2 years, because we got a fucking long ass time to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I do appreciate, one of the things I think about constantly when you think about like pain and like grief is like, it wouldn't hurt so bad if there wasn't so much love there. And it's like one of the, like yoga teaches us a lot about this, is like holding these dualities, right? It wouldn't hurt so bad if the love wasn't so strong, if there wasn't so, you know, like, so it's like the only way you know that kind of love is by experiencing this kind of grief. But yeah, I don't know. It's always been one of those things I think about in times like this. It's like, I don't know.
It definitely shifts. And I was saying to Jess today when we were driving here, because I made an unexpected phone call yesterday. But Weeze's departure, like I never would have called that. Like never. So that would, like I said, that was the first time that it like really hit me that like this could happen to any of us. Like we had no idea that was gonna happen that morning. You know what I mean? So it was like we spent the whole day together. Like, and so we never would have called that is how that day would have ended.
Yeah.
And so it just has made me. I've like people always say that like YOLO, you only live once. Like you never know.
But really,
but it was
you
like
do.
that situation changed my perspective tremendously because I was like, oh fuck, like because like I said, I was on the opposite end. I never really dealt with sudden death. A lot of it was like, unfortunately, cancer has plagued my family. So like I've lost my grandmother, my aunt, my other grandma had stroke, but like a lot of it was just like progressional illnesses. And this was the first time that like something like that like really just got me. And I was like, it just really has shifted my perspective to just like live like Weeze for real. Like he lived unapologetically happy.
Yeah.
He showed up for people. Honestly, sometimes to his detriment. I remember sometimes he would call me and be like, I'm on my fucking way. Like, leave me alone. Because I would call him, where are you? He's like, Alyssa, I'm on my way. Don't call me one more time. So, like.
Weeze really did show up for everyone.
He showed up for everything. Like, and I didn't even realize all of it until he wasn't here. And it was like, wow, I don't know how you did all of this. He was there for his nieces, his nephew, his friends' kids, his grandmother, his mom, us. Like
his friends' photo shoots, all events,
all events,
work, morning shifts, and night shifts.
Oh my gosh!
Like he did, like, and I'm just like, and he just did it so effortlessly. He never complained.
Yeah.
And it was just like, yeah, I don't know how he did it.
Yeah.
I say that he was the real earth angel. That's how it started. He was, and I think that's what really highlighted having to navigate just this journey overall of grief. And I think this year, because I want to stay on topic, this year, you mentioned like this was the real healing. And in the early episode I had shared, like one of our first ones was like how my therapist and I broke up. And I was like, this is going to be the year of test. And in hindsight, it has been, but one of the things I realized was we're leaning onto each other more.
100%. Unapologetically, too. Like, I've never been this vulnerable with, like, that was one thing that I struggled with, even with, I was always the one that, like, I just feel like God has built me in a way that, like, to be the soldier, because my mom is like that.
The matriarch.
And I think that like God just built me for this shit, to be honest with you. But that loss kind of forced me to like be real with my friends and with myself and be more vulnerable. Like I'm struggling. And we've had so many like honest conversations. And I just think that's just propelled us into this place of like really leaning on each other and healing and being vulnerable and being open and being honest about like what we're really going through. Because I also think as we've gotten older, the problems have become more complex.
Ooh, girl.
You know what I mean?
I'm
Like,
just telling Issa, don't grow up, girl. Stay in college.
like when you're like 21, like life's not, I mean, it's,
Life
at least for
only
us, I
gets
guess I was
harder.
blessed because I didn't feel like I had like these life issues at that age. But that's why I'm just so grateful. Like I guess, I don't know. I just believe a lot of things led up to that. And the friendships that he gave us
The
for
friendships
each
he gave us,
other
yeah.
to get through this is what I think too. Like, I think that, you know, he brought us all together and now we need each other to keep going because like every single person could have the same things to say that we would.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How what they meant to him, what they did for him, like how he made them feel. And yeah, I just think it was all part of it, unfortunately, you know?
Throughout it too, I feel that I've been happy, like yearning God more.
Yeah.
And I think that was a part, like even post, like leading up to baptism and shit and things like that.
Baptism and shit in the same
God.
sentence. Back to back though. Extra flagrant.
Don't strike me down right now.
Oh my gosh. Wow. We needed to interrupt the joke. Man, yes, just praying my feelings more and figuring what that looks like, or having I have so much more like reflection periods and like check-ins with myself. But I think the biggest thing is like really developing that relationship with God and strengthening it. Because I feel like we're being so vulnerable with one another. We're having such tough conversations. I mean, like this is the year, like we're releasing a lot of things that we've been holding on. And I think as a collective, we're really holding space. And I think it's really through that and through God that, like, you know, you can wake up and you feel a void, but the sun is still shining.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because that's one of those things, like grief is one of those things, like you look to try to fill it. Like you look to try to like make it go away. Like what can I like do, at least
Put
for me,
here.
like, like what can I put here to like make myself feel like whole again? And like it's just you're not.
Yeah.
And that's like I said, I just reiterate that because like I don't know how many people I had never been through anything like that, and for the last year and a half I've been like looking like, okay, when's it gonna go back?
Yeah.
And then like I just kind of had an epiphany, which was shocking because I don't have a lot of those, but
It just
it just hit me in the forehead, and I was just like okay, Alyssa, like you're navigating an entire new life. Like your life changed that day. And you weren't ready. Like, I wasn't ready. I also wasn't ready to, like, I don't know, man. It's so complex and it's so, like, because I'm just an avoidant person. I don't like dealing with stuff like that. Like, it's too hard.
But also naturally, like you said, you're just, like, your instinct is to take the burden on for other people or to be there for other people. But your burden, and it's, like, the people who are feeling it, it was everywhere. And all these people are so close to you. And so you're feeling that same, like you want to help them, but also like, you know what I mean? Like
it's also me.
It's also you.
Yeah,
you were also
and it's also
going
me.
through it.
Like,
and you can only be there for people so much.
but a lot of that. But again, to your point, that's my avoidant thing because like that's how I know how I avoid dealing with it.
Yeah.
It's like because it's easier. Like again, I do it for a living. It's my actual job. So like it's much easier for me to take the emphasis off of myself because I'm like not ready to like do that yet. And there were people that needed me, and there were people that like needed me to take care of them. But again, like I just feel like, I just feel like that's what my purpose is. I really do. I just feel like the strength that God has given me to get through these things, like, is for this. However, on the back end, I do need to remember to take care of myself.
Yeah.
That it's still important. Yes, you're strong. One of the strong soldiers, I just admit it, Lord. Like, I'll just take it.
Not
like,
me.
it's
I don't
fine.
I'm tapping out.
I won't say I wish I wasn't because I'm glad I am. But yeah, it's real easy, like for our caregivers, it's really easy to do that, to avoid your own things, but eventually like you're going to have no choice but to deal with it.
Yeah.
And like I said, this year, I just think, and just give yourself grace. It's all in due time. It doesn't, like we're 2 years in and I'm just now getting to the point where I'm like, and I said this in March, like, oh yeah, I think I'm like coming to my girl, your grief journey never ends. Like but that's what I'm saying. You're like telling yourself these things to make it easier, but it doesn't get easier. You really just learn how to deal with it, and you know, just give yourself grace as you maneuver the journey. Because we may even next year, when we're having this conversation at year 3, it'll be different again. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I guess whatever you got to tell yourself. Because I was telling myself a lot of shit. So like, I guess whatever you got to tell yourself to get through. But yeah, grief is complex and it looks different for everybody.
Doesn't have a time frame.
Nope.
I say also fill your heart with the memories. Like, when we were talking on the 5th, that was one of the things that you had shared, was just like, you know, I'm trying to hold space for those memories. And I think there's so many amazing memories. Like, it's like if we were to sit in a circle, like everyone in Buffalo, and share a memory with Weeze, like,
come on, we would be up all night.
Right. And I feel like even from the
crying.
onset, like, I met Weeze through LB, going out with in college. LB, we were always together. There was like my 3 years, and then post, because I was visiting Buffalo all the time. But between Weeze's hugs, his light, his energy, like, we really held like space for each other throughout it while we were in that, throughout in that group. Like, there were so many things that were happening. Everyone was going through something, you know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway, an altitude of memories. My favorite with him is that he always held space to check in with people. Yeah. Like, I would get calls from me. It's like, how you doing? Just if you had a face, what's going on? Let's talk about it. And you always felt comfortable sharing whatever it is that you were feeling with Weeze. It was like real life Earth Angel stuff, you know? Yeah. And so we had built, we had started to speak more often, just randomly, like, checking in. And he was #1 supporter. Like, before In Good Health, it was For the Busy Vegan. We was following a vegan page. Like, what? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and we'll shout that food out. Like, it was supporting everything. So it was just, he was everywhere. And to this day, and like now, I just try to hold space for the memories and searching for his signs. Like, yeah.
What I have a question for y'all. What is one thing you do now, like, either differently or have started doing, like, in the spirit of Weeze? Like, what's maybe one thing you do to, like, live like Weeze?
I think is, like, well, first of all, just, like, one thing about Weeze, like, don't get me wrong, my man was an angel, but he was also honest as shit, okay? If, like, he was just honest, because I would always, like, I just always think, like, what would Weeze do? Yeah. And I always know, like, if I'm doing some shit, I'm like, damn, I don't know if I call Weeze right now, like, he would be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? So, like, I don't even know if it's necessarily living like him, but I just try to think, like, what would he tell me? Yeah. Like, especially when I don't know something, I'll be like, what would Weeze do? How would he handle this situation? And that's really more so, I think, like, that I try to, like, honor. But also more so just being here. Like, I'm here and he's not. Mm-hmm. And that's really the biggest thing for me is, like, I have an opportunity every day, regardless of what that is. And he doesn't. And that's more so, I think, what I try to live by, not necessarily one thing, but just the opportunity to be here. I think, you know, being there for his brother when I can, his sister, like, you know, like, looking out for the family when I can, or at least just letting them know that I'm, you know, there. I think that's another way, because, you know, they've taken the loss obviously very hard. And so I try to just be there for them or hold space for them when I can, or let them know I'm thinking about them and I love them. But also, yeah, I get to be here every day and he doesn't. And then also, when I know he's about to cuss me out, sometimes I'm like, like, you can't say anything to me. But I know there's sometimes that I would, like, I'll do something and I'll be like,
you hear him in your head,
Alyssa. So yeah, I think that's what I try to do.
What about you, Jessie?
You want to go?
Yeah. I think there's a few things, because I think one of the things that I always related to Weeze on is like he was such a good uncle. Such a good uncle. Oh God. And I've always prided myself, you know, I'm auntie.
You
I'm
were
mom
definitely a
auntie.
great auntie.
But I mean, the way he shows up for them, you know, was always so special. And I think, yeah, I honor that in the way I show up for my nieces and my nephew and just like the kids, not even just my own, right? Like what I consider my own, but like all the babies, all the future generations, right? Like I just look at them differently now. I think being a little bit more, like trying to be more supportive, I think I was a little selfish and maybe necessarily so in the past because I needed to be for myself. But I think it's important to me to show up for my friends, one, when they invite me to something, right? Like Weeze always showed up. It didn't matter, Weeze was going to show up. And so showing up for my friends a little bit more, I think in ways that I didn't always think were important or took for granted in the past. And just trying to honor, like I think keep our friend group, and not necessarily like us, but like the broader friendships that we made. I think checking in on those friends and reaching out to those friends and making sure I still, you know, like we're still checking in with each other. Like I've never come home before and called up like Lindsay and OJ and Chuck and just been like, hey, y'all, come hang out. Like if it happens, it happens, right? But now I'm a little bit more intentional, like, hey, I want to see you.
Yeah.
Like, let's get together. Let's grab a drink. Like, oh, you're having an event? Like, I'm going to, all right, I'll be there. You know what I mean? If I can. So I think that's one of the things I try to do now is show up a little bit more for the people that are important to me in ways that we showed up, because I think it left an impact on all of us.
For sure.
All of the above. All of the above. But really, man, like being there for each other wholeheartedly through and through. I think that's been the piece that has been like forced upon, or being put in kind of spaces where you're like, I genuinely feel like he's like, y'all are gonna talk about this, you know, and I need this out of you.
Yeah.
For me, it's trying to find. He was always doing something, or showing up for people. I think it's really also forced us to dig deep and to really think about like our purpose and like what are we doing.
With the opportunity, right? What are we doing with that opportunity you spoke about?
Because it breaks you down emotionally, mentally, physically, like getting out of bed, you know? And so for me, it's so like the biggest thing is being here.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is being here. What I've struggled the most has been like survivor's guilt. Like the biggest thing for me is just being here. And when I see the sun go up, it's another day, you know? And just the opportunity, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
More intentional, trying to live a little bit more in purpose, not wasting time, thinking about your people more, prayer, like.
Yeah.
It's hard to sit with the idea that, like, it feels so unfair that, like, the sun is going to rise, you know, again, and we have to move on. Like, that's, I think, one of the hardest things about grief for me is, like, we have to keep living in spite of it. And it's like, you almost want time to stand still, and it can't. And and every day it gets further and further away, and it feels like you get further and further away from the memories, and like those things are really hard. And like, but you almost have to live, right? Like take advantage of that opportunity that we're given, because not everybody is, you know.
Yeah.
Ooh, I feel the spirit of Weeze in the building.
Yeah. So
on that
that's
note,
all we got for you today, ladies and gentlemen.
That was definitely.
But we just wanted to give you guys a reel. We talk about Weeze so much.
Yeah.
You know, his brother was on here. OJ was on here. We talk about it. It's obviously still a very difficult thing for us to talk about. but I think that everyone can relate to, well, maybe not everyone, but you may, like, I just hate to tell you, but maybe it may happen. It's going to happen to everybody at some point. And even if it didn't happen to you, God bless you. Because honestly, I hadn't really dealt with anything up until before that point. But I think it's just something that a lot of people can relate to. And grief is just such a weird thing. And so we just thought it was important, to like let you guys know who Weeze was to us, so you understand when you hear us talk about it or things like that, but also just the navigating that we do on a daily basis, you know, when you lose one of your best friends. And so, yeah, that's really the main reason why we wanted to come on here. And we were coming off of Weeze Week, which is why we gave our boy a week, because he actually deserves so much more than that.
Yeah.
But
and I will say a reminder, if whatever it is that you're going through right at this moment, smile big.
yeah,
Because he had the biggest smile. And that's one of the things that Sister Her wrote. Like, if there's anything you could do, like, smile.
yeah.
Give one good smile. So give that to yourself.
And look in the future for Weeze Day. It's not, I don't know when it's going to happen. We're going to have to set it up eventually, but I just really, that's my, like, one day I just want to make it into something that is, because I think it'll be therapeutic for us also.
Yeah.
But also he would love it.
Can I say I'm so proud of y'all? This was a hard episode.
Thank you. It was
a hard episode. So
I love you guys so much. Thank you both. I mean, we're in the shit as a unit forever.
Yeah.
So thank you. Love you.
Yeah,
Love you. Love y'all.
I was like, you better fucking, you didn't tell me you love me. Say it. Call your people too. All right, guys, we're out. Bye.